Hello viewers, today we will try to understand the world of music through ghazals of Mirza Ghalib. The word ghazal transports the reader to the world of lyrics and music. It also connects us to a prominent literary figure called Mirza Ghalib. He is synonymous with Urdu literature. He was one of those great poets who can be rightly called a genius. He was immensely popular as a great thinker and a great philosopher. Mirza Asadullah Ghalib was also an eminent prose writer. He was known as Ghalib, a nom de plume he adopted in the tradition of all classical Urdu poets. He was born in the city of Agra of parents with Turkish aristocratic ancestry, probably on December 27, 1797. He lost his father and uncle when he was still a small child. His maternal grandparents brought him up, and their influence on his young mind was immense. Though he was given complete freedom, he was always restless and confused. On one hand, he grew up relatively free of any oppressive dominant atmosphere, but on the other hand, this placed him in the humiliating situation of being socially and economically dependent on maternal grandparents, giving him, one can surmise here means to guess, a sense that whatever positions he received were a matter of charity and not legitimately his. Such a young heart and a young brain starts thinking on the lines of independence. That was the early sign of a genius. His tutelage was under Hamzat, a Zoroastrian from Iran who got converted to Islam. Ghalib's poetry has become a beacon of legacy. In fact, he was a genius par excellence. He was a witness to the waning period of Mughals. Despite living in the autumn days of Mughals, he wanted to be the laureate in the royal court, which was already in ruins under the last Mughal called Bahadur Shah Zafar. He lived to see the political upheavals of 1857 and chronicled its disturbing ripples in Delhi. His devotion to ghazal found a defining place in Indian history. Ghalib is a very multifaceted and complex poet. His canvas of imagination is too vast and too contradictory to fit into any one of these categories or the categories of different poets and writers. His ghazals are appealing and soothing, and the readers are easily connected with the variety of emotions he presents. He is popular not only for the intensity of the emotions they express, but also for their perfect form. They reveal a profound beauty through their exquisite melody. His couplets are adorned with intricate layers of interpretations ranging from spontaneous expression of raw passion to extremely complex philosophical dimensions. Every verse of Ghalib is a maze of thoughts that entangles and captures the attention of the readers. Ghalib sang of all phases of life. He had a range and depth of feeling no other Urdu poet had. Although Ghalib has done poetry both in Urdu and Persian, but it was his Urdu poetry which left an indelible mark on the hearts of the people. Ghazal is the most noted lyric genre of Urdu literature. It is a reflective and introspective form of poetry. The poet speaks eloquently about sadness and unfulfilled love that originated in 6th century from the Arabian panegyric qasida. The ghazal reflects 3 shades of love. What are they? Human, divine and spiritual. It is composed of minimum of 5 couplets that are structurally, thematically and emotionally autonomous. Each line of the poem must be of the same length and meter. The first couplet introduces a scheme made up of a rhyme followed by a refrain. The couplets 3 and 4 pick up the same scheme in the second line, only repeating the refrain and rhyming the second line with both lines of the first stanza. The final couplet usually includes the poet's signature or his pen name along with its meaning, traditionally invoking melancholy, longing for earthly love and metaphysical inquiries. Ghalib instilled life into Urdu poetry by making it thought-provoking and little pragmatic, which was then dominated by the people of heart. In Urdu ghazals, along with love and beauty, Ghalib touched upon all the facets of life. His lofty imagination and rich expression immortalized the canvas of Urdu ghazal. Ghalib's style is regarded as one of the most intricate styles in Urdu poetry. The reader comes up with newer and unique interpretation after every reading. His couplets are pithy with lot of wisdom to share. This makes any literal translation most inadequate and sometimes rather morbid. Ghalib stands apart from his contemporaries like Mir, Sauda, Momin for fearlessly writing about anything and everything. His poetry, which is full of heartache and anguish, yearning for an earthly love, divine love, and of course grieving over death of an adopted son, lamenting for the disappearance of court life and a world of beauty and reflection. So when you look at this range, it indicates the variety and the kind of wisdom this poet had. His period was ripe with political, religious and intellectual controversies. The Oriental concepts were invaded by Western rationalism, and the poetry was considered as a tool to present sensuous expressions of a uniquely perceptive, original and synthesizing mind. However, Ghalib's poetry did not receive much acclaim during those turbulent times. It became immensely popular after his death and has become a beacon of legacy. Ghalib's couplets have a philosophical dimension which compels the reader to ponder over various aspects of life. According to him, human desires define human existence. That's why this poem is titled as Hazaro Khwaishe Aisi, such thousand desires. According to him, human desires define human existence. Life is woven around desires and we are controlled by them. Some of these desires do get fulfilled and others don't. With the passage of time, new desires keep surfacing and man keeps chasing them. Even if many of man's desires are fulfilled, he is never satisfied, for many still remain unfulfilled. Ghalib's poetry is rich with the different images of a lover. It's not always romantic and passionate image that is presented. He also presents the lover or beloved as a tormentor who troubles his lover by assuming the form of an assassin who kills and sabotages the delicate emotions which are deep rooted in the human heart. The beloved or the lover need not always be human. It might as well be one's notion of God or a state of being where none of these travails assail one. Ghalib wonders what frailty of the human soul spurs us to wish for more. The element of hope always influences our soul. In fact, that is the elixir of human life. The influence is so strong that we yield to its promise at the slightest way of possibility. But we receive the jolts and blows and are denied. The very fabric of wishing cloaks us from what we have experienced and lays us bare to the thrashing of a new hope denied. Let me read a beautiful couplet written by Mirza Ghalib for you, and we will also try to understand its interesting analysis and interpretation. Listen to me carefully. डरे क्यों मेरा कातिल, डरे क्यों मेरा कातिल, क्या रहेगा उसके गर्दन पर, वो खूं जो चश्मे तर से उम्र भर यूं दम दमादम निकले. Let me read it once again for you. डरे क्यों मेरा कातिल, क्या रहेगा उसके गर्दन पर, वो खूं जो चश्मे तर से उम्र भर यूं दम बदम निकले. How beautiful. The language itself is musical. In this couplet, the poet talks about the power of desire and the utter helplessness of the soul. He talks about its magic clutches, which forces an individual to walk into death willingly, absolving all tormentors of the guilt of having driven him there. Once, as a lover of the individual embraces death, he is free from all kinds of fears. Ghalib asks his slayer, who is also assumed to be his beloved, who he imagines as an assassin, that why she is scared or hesitating to slay him. She will not have stains of blood on her neck or hand. None shall blame the murderer who stands alone, a soul drained out of all blood, that is, blood is life force, shed over a lifetime of tears, in wishes unfulfilled and hopes dashed. The blood is already drained out. The soul has become hopeless in the form of tears. They have continuously flown through the beloved's eyes. So she need not fear any legal or moral compunction in killing him. She will not be punished for slaying him. Look at the satire, look at the sarcasm. The utter helplessness of the soul is captivated in this couplet. Not only must he be a living dead, he cannot even hope for justice meted out to the tormentor, but he must also reassure that murderer that she has nothing to worry about. Such is the soul's love for the grantor of all wishes. In Urdu, blood on one's neck, as translated from uski gardan par wo khoon, is equivalent to the English blood on one's hands, that is, blame of misdeeds. Now let's try to move on and try to understand another couplet of this great poet. This couplet expresses the true essence of love in a unique way. Bharam khul jaye zalim tere khamat ki darazi ka, भरम खुल जाए जालिम तेरे खामत की दराजी का, अगर इस तुर्रे ये पुरा पेच ओ खम का पेच ओ खम निकले. For people who come from non-Urdu background, this is little complex, but for those who understand Urdu, this language is musical. Bharam is a word which is perhaps a corruption or variation of the word Bhram. Bhram is pronounced in Sanskrit or Hindi with the meaning of illusion or confusion. It carries a possible connotation of character, of credit or worthiness. So, at once, Ghalib cautions and praises the lover or god that either the illusion of the god or lover's greatness or the supreme fabric of the same would be revealed if he or she would try to understand the true essence of love, that is, unconditional love or divine love. How do we understand the term unconditional love? When we love somebody, we are not supposed to expect anything in return. Something very close to divine love. For a human lover, what he will tug at would be the pulled up tresses, thus revealing the beauty of deception of the lover, that is, the hair coming undone being the dramatic fierce suggestion to the following torrid love-making scene. Tangled tresses indicate the source of all godliness and divinity. They can be entangled by imbibing the essence of true love as godliness and divinity. If an individual gets tugged, to these tresses, he or she would be able to demystify God and understand the eternal truth. Either ways, there are some who will be offended in this revelation, and some take delight in confronting truth in all its splendor. Ghalib also exhibits his satiric streak by comparing lovers' tresses with the complex process of understanding God's reality. Well, a common man cannot think in this depth. But he also confesses that each generation has only added a twist and turn and wind, but he knows of this one loose end which just needs a tug to find all knots and curls undone. Ghalib, the ever curious, insists on acting as scribe to all lovers or believers, so he may understand the working of hearts and minds held in the hold of this magnificent beauty. Somehow he believes that by being the one to pen the letters to God and lover, he would find the root of all suffering, as well as the finest expressions of love which he may adopt in his personal letters. In being the scribe, he is laying bare the earthly and the esoteric interpretations of love. By laying it bare, he hopes either the lover sees the illusion of it all, or Ghalib gains insight into the beauty of it. Either way, he always becomes the lover, and he is the one writing what they wish to say. It's a beautiful help. It's a beautiful aid to the lovers and the believers of God. By being proxy to their gushing, he becomes the only lover that God will ever see. He becomes the essence of all the lovers. And if nothing were to come of this ever, he at least benefits by fueling the writer in him. Thus, Ghalib, in offering services, stands to gain no matter what the outcome of this exercise is. Let me capture this essence in the following couplet, of course, written by Ghalib. मगर लिखवाए कोई उसको खत तो हमसे लिखवाए, मगर लिखवाए कोई उसको खत तो हमसे लिखवाए, हुई सुबह और घर से कान पर रख कर कलम निकले, हुई सुबह और घर से कान पर रख कर कलम निकले. Ghalib is convinced that by being in the state of constant drunkenness, the lover earns the reputation of madman or a drunkard. हुई इस दौर में मनसूब बुझ से बड़ा आशामी, फिर आया वो ज़माना जो जहाँ जमाए जम निकले. Ghalib claims that intoxicated lovers are purer than hypocritic godmen. There is every possibility that a possessed writer who lives in an inebriated condition can find way to unite with his beloved or God. Those come to the aid of such pure souls are sought after by God. But most wise men are either feel-good godmen or priests blinded by words that were long dead. These people who claim to right all wrongs provide guidance to the passionately possessed or protect the ones madly in love or cripples themselves, finding sanctuary behind their cloaks and social propriety. In this couplet, Mirza Ghalib mentions about the mythical cup which is always full with wine. Ghalib says that in this era of wine drinking has become synonymous with his name. So the time for King Jamshid's goblet to reappear has come. It is believed that King Jamshid was the discoverer of wine and goblet. This is a legend, a mythical legend. Here he compares his prowess of drinking to King King Jamshid. For in love, absolute, complete, transforming love, there is no dichotomy of life and death, says Ghalib. Once in love, there is only loving. Once consumed by love, there is only that infinite existence gazing at the lover or God whose beauty takes away one's breaths. Ghalib, in one sweeping stroke, dispels all cowardly love that treats love as an option, a practical consideration, a convenient avenue, or a customary facet of life. How beautiful and divinely thoughts. He then summarizes the state of love and its primary trait, closing with the invitation and reassurance that all are welcome to this state of being as occasionally availed by the high priest himself. Ghazals of Ghalib are gems of Urdu poetry. Composing a good verse in a short meter merits a certificate of excellence in the world of ghazal. Leafing through Ghalib's Urdu Diwan, one comes across many of these eloquent nuggets of poetry which are pithy and brief. Ghalib's diction is decidedly inimitable, as every word is perfectly placed, be it in the context of syntax or meaning. The imagery is loftily adorned with varied nuances of Urdu language, and the Urdu poetry is yet to find a parallel. Brevity is the soul of his exquisitely chiseled poetry. Ghalib's poetry expands over a huge canvas of amazing simplicity and esoteric complexity. In fact, he was known for his complex metaphors. The interpretation of metaphors can run into many paragraphs. Both the complexity and the philosophical dimensions of his verses delight the readers and activate their subtle thoughts. His adeptness in expressing a modern thought in a traditional idiom while threatening the intent of tradition is commendable or laudable. Let's look at this beautiful couplet, which is very pithy and full of legend and philosophical wisdom. खुदा के वास्ते पर्दा नकाबे से उठा जालिम, खुदा के वास्ते पर्दा नकाबे से उठा जालिम, कहीं ऐसा न हो यहाँ भी वही काफिर सनम निकले. Ghalib couches this couplet in the religious idiom by encapsulating in these few words the entire story about the Kaaba. Then he presents one more couplet where he presents the different and colorful dimensions of drinking and the notions associated with the habit of drinking. Let's read the couplet first. कहाँ मैं खाने का दरवाज़ा गालिब और कहाँ नवाइज़, पर इतना जानते हैं कल वो जाता था कि हम निकले. Very beautiful couplet. The preacher calls wine drinking all bad, but goads people against it. But he too has his weaknesses, he too has his pegs. So despite all his teachings of abstinence, he too drinks, implying that addiction to wine is universal and that drinking comes naturally to people. Now that we like about this couplet, what we like about this couplet is its tongue-in-cheek approach. He does not directly accuse the preacher of drinking, but says yesterday he saw him passing by the bar and so was surprised. The rest he leaves to the imagination of the reader. Well, the reader can interpret in any way he likes. Preachers or priests are the enemies of the poet, whose freeness of love cannot be contained by the laws of religion. He disbelieves the evidence of the senses and advances towards philosophical skepticism. He could not accept the established view of things and was skeptical of known beliefs. In fact, he was in revolt against many of them which his rational mind loathed to accept and though a good deal of his imagery was based on the conventional one, he inverted it to suit his thought, sometimes grotesquely perverting it. The dialect of Ghalib's poetry is double-edged. He uses current imagery but makes new use of it and shows its hollowness as it has become empty of thought and is inadequate to reflect the reality. His imagination is exemplary. Perception and thought are continuously fused in his mind so that he could see creation and the creator of all at once involved in the situation. Ghalib's poetry is spread over a wide canvas. The hues are varied, like love and its images, the nature of human life and its existence, people's role in the universe, free will versus fate. However, the earthly love between a man and a woman, the conventional theme of the ghazal, does not substantially engage his mind, and he views this transcendental passion with profound cynicism. Ghalib was mightily expressed by the Sufi tradition. He had a diverse mind and an attitude of cheerful irreverence towards God and institutionalized religion. On one hand, he emphasizes on the dignity and self-respect of people in their relationship with God, and on the other hand, he also advocated the value of humans as human, regardless of their religion and race. Ghalib describes sorrow and pain as essential conditions of human life. They grease the wheels of life, according to him. He does not ignore the importance of different experiences of an individual, but savors each of them to the fullest, even if it is painful. To him, every experience becomes a metaphysical study of the nature of being and existence, regardless of the attendant pain or pleasure. In one of his verses, he epitomizes the expulsion of Adam from heaven to his dismissal from his beloved's house with much humiliation, as that would provide greater scope for his mind and imagination. This couplet, though one of the Ghalib's oft-quoted ones, has been subject to various interpretations by scholars. Now let's look at this interesting couplet. निकलना खुल्द से आदम का सुनते आए हैं लेकिन, निकलना खुल्द से आदम का सुनते आए हैं लेकिन, बहुत बेआबरू होकर तेरे कूचे से हम निकले, बहुत बेआबरू होकर तेरे कूचे से हम निकले. Look at the way he connects his humiliation to the expulsion of Adam from God's world, that is heaven. So when we analyze the different themes, the variety of thoughts, the intensity of emotions, it automatically transports us to the world of music and lyrics. I hope you enjoyed this sojourn or journey to the world of music. Thank you.